You must feel the importance of the thumb in the backhand loop. If you don't use your thumb, the ball will easily go into the net. Try to press your thumb against the blade's shoulder, close the racket face slightly, and then thrust forward to transfer that power. Your loop will feel very solid. It might look like the same motion, but my thumb is applying a lot of subtle force inside. When looping a deep backhand, the key is the power transfer from the thumb. To hit a loop drive, push your thumb forward. For a high arc loop, push it upward. This is about your fingers. Some of the logos on my racket have been rubbed off by my thumb. This shows that my finger is applying force, which is a crucial point. This is the result of repeated friction. If your finger is just resting lightly, you can't even grip the racket firmly, so how can you loop the ball well? The power transferred to the racket at the moment you use your thumb is very strong. Whether you use a penhold or shakehand grip, this burst of force from the thumb must be a point of focus. If you haven't used this force before, you can try my method to transfer power. By adjusting the direction your finger applies force, you can hit both loop drives and high arc loops. High arc loop like this, loop drive like this. In short, at the instant of contact, your fingers must transfer power. This will make your loop very powerful and fast. But this is just one element. To execute this shot well, many other factors must work together. Right, constantly finding the contact point and creating friction. Regardless of your forehand grip, when you switch from forehand to backhand, there will always be micro adjustments to your racket angle and finger positioning. Second, if you don't press your thumb firmly in your backhand grip, the racket face will feel unstable. Like you're just flicking your wrist, because there's no braking action. So, just resting your thumb lightly versus pressing it firmly gives you two completely different results. You need to apply force like I do. My backhand is one of my best personal skills. Whether I'm flicking, punching, looping, or pushing, my thumb is always engaged with this level of force. I feel the power transfer in the backhand is heavily related to the fingers. When you use your thumb to thrust like this, the ball gets a lot of spin. Now, let's discuss an essential point I've realized recently, the importance of the right foot in the backhand loop. If you're just looping from a fixed point on one half of the table, anyone can do it well. But problems arise with random placement. Watch this. A little shorter, give me a slightly shorter one. See that? Because during service return, if your opponent serves with more force, the ball goes long. If they use less force, it becomes a half-long ball. So in a match, you'll face many scenarios on your backhand return, with variations in rhythm, height, and placement. Because the backhand contact point is in front of your body and has less margin for error than the forehand, the right foot is crucial. If I stand here, for example, after I serve, what if my opponent pushes a half-long ball? I must step in with my right foot. What happens if I don't? See, if I don't step in with my right foot, the ball goes straight into the net. That's the consequence of not moving it. No matter how correct your technique is, if your feet don't get you there, you can't reach the ball. When dealing with a ball in the middle, your right foot must also follow through. A common scenario in matches is a left side spin serve to the middle. Why do people miss it? It's not the technique, it's that their feet didn't move. As long as your right foot moves, you can lift that ball with ease. For instance, if a side spin backspin ball is served deep to my backhand, and I stand still, it's very difficult to loop. Looping a backhand without footwork is extremely hard. But if you can take small adjustment steps to find the ball, step in for short balls, wait for long ones, and move side to side, your ability to find the backhand contact point will be very accurate. I'm going to return a serve, pay close attention. Let's talk about the core issue of the backhand loop, body mechanics. Many players are confused. Should we rotate or thrust forward? Let me ask you all, do you think you should thrust with the left hip, the right hip, or the waist and core? Which feels correct to you? Let me explain a few scenarios. First, a standard backhand loop. On the forehand side, you thrust with the right hip. You can't use the left, or it would be very uncoordinated, like a folk dance. So, the forehand is a right hip action. Following the opposite logic, the backhand should use the left hip. In my standard backhand system, when my opponent pushes to my backhand, I do indeed use more force from my left hip, but my right hip also thrusts forward with it. I'll demonstrate one for you. Please watch my hip movement carefully. It's true the power transfer from the left hip is greater, but when do you use the right hip? Because balls to your backhand side don't have a fixed placement. They can be high, low, left, or right. This entire half of the table is your backhand zone. So, when the ball is slightly more towards the middle, using the left hip would look extremely uncoordinated. Therefore, for a ball that is slightly to your right, you must thrust with your right hip. I'll do a demonstration. Feed me one to the middle, you see? That feels much smoother. The position is different. When the ball is a bit more to your right, you must use the right hip. If you try to use your left hip for a ball in this position, you'll find you've lost your contact point. So for balls more to your right side, like when your opponent targets your middle or serves with side spin to the middle, your right hip transfer must be greater than your left. In a normal ready stance, I believe the left hip uses more force than the right, but both hips must move forward together. It's just that the ball's position determines which one uses more power. In table tennis, there is no single, absolutely correct technique. For example, Fan Zhendong might use his right hip, while Ma Long uses his left. So when you see others analyze a shot, first look at the incoming ball. If it's to the right, you must use the right hip. Using the left hip will be uncoordinated. If you use your right hip for a ball in the normal backhand position, it will feel awkward and unnatural. For instance, if I use my right hip for a ball far to my left, it's uncoordinated. But if I use my left hip, the movement instantly becomes coordinated. So, for different positions, the method of handling the ball is different. There's no absolute right way. So how does that stomach thrust come into play? It's for handling fast, rushed balls. For example, on a very fast ball, like a quick backspin serve, using either the left or right hip can easily cause an error, because there's simply no time to rotate your waist to generate power. What do you do? You contract your abs, which is the so-called stomach thrust. Actually, this isn't just using abdominal strength. The power from your back muscles is also very important. When the ball is extremely fast, thrusting your body forward helps create the arc. When the ball is that rushed, who has time to rotate the waist, thrust the hip, generate power, and take a backswing like you normally learn? At this moment, your core must tuck in, then thrust out. This is the key. The faster the ball, the more you must do this. As you won't have time to rotate your left or right hip. The ball is so rushed it's almost jamming your body, but you can't be completely still either, or you won't find the contact point. And if your body doesn't move, you won't have enough power. You need to use the force from your stomach and back muscles to thrust forward, creating an arc to get the ball over the net. I'll loop a couple more for you to see. The faster the ball is served, the more I can thrust my core to create an arc. So you must adjust based on the incoming ball. When the opponent pushes or serves very fast, you have to use the core thrust. When you have a chance for a power loop, use a full swing. For middle balls, use the right hip. Your body mechanics must adapt to different situations. Exactly. You have to adjust to the incoming ball. You can't solve every problem with one technique. There's no universal formula, or you'll eventually run into trouble. So this core thrust, or more accurately, tucking the abs and thrusting with the back muscles, is a move you'll encounter often in a match. In short, your body cannot be static during a backhand loop. You must incorporate body mechanics, or the shot will be very awkward.